welcome back to the Introvert's Haven. I'm Megan, and I went down a little rabbit hole last night. I found a whole bunch of books that are due to be released this spring, and now I have literally written them in my calendar so that I know when I can go and pick them up. I'll be honest, a lot of the books on this list have very summer-esque vibes. I was expecting more like cottagecore, but I haven't found a ton of books that are being released with that kind of a vibe. Either way, these books look so good, and the only bad part about this whole thing is that now I found out about them, but I can't actually go and get them. I have to sit here in anticipation for the next few weeks until each one releases. So without further ado, let me tell you all about them. Okay, so releasing on April 1st are a couple of books that I'm super excited about. The first of these books is Sirens by Emilia Hart, and this is the same author that wrote Wayward. And if you've never read Wayward for a spring book, it is the most quintessential spring book that I think I could possibly recommend that I have read so far. But that's a totally different subject. So this book is following a group of sisters who are separated by hundreds of years. And this is in 2019. Lucy wakes up with her hands around an ex-lover's throat, and she is absolutely horrified by what she has done. Now, is he alive? Is he dead? It doesn't really say in the descriptions, and I don't really want to know. But she escapes to the south of Wales to try to just clear her head and get away from everything. But when she gets there, she realizes that the town that she's in has many men over the course of history who have also mysteriously gone missing. And so Lucy decides that she's just going to investigate this a little bit. Flash back to the 1800s. There are two sisters who are sent to go to a convict, I think in Australia, but on the trip to this convict, they notice that their bodies are starting to change, and I'm assuming to become more siren-like. The sea just seems to be really drawing them in. The great thing about Emilia Hart is that she really connects all of these, so I'm sure all of these women are sirens of some form, right? Because that would make sense with the title. The thing is how they're all interconnected, and she does a really great job, at least she did on Wayward, of interconnecting these kind of individualistic stories. And I'm so excited. I love a good sea story. I love mermaids, sirens. It's going to be great. The next book is American Housewife by Anita Abriel. This book takes place in the 1950s. And it is following Maggie. And Maggie is a radio personality who has been hired to be on the TV, which is a brand new thing at this point. And she is going to be on a show as the ideal housewife. She has a very girl next door image where she's baking, showing women how to be the ideal housewife, just like that quintessential good girl of that time. As a condition of this employment, she has to maintain this image. However, looks are not as they appear. This perfect housewife persona that she puts on the TV could not be further from the truth. She doesn't actually know how to bake. Her marriage is in shambles, and she is really just trying to maintain an image that just doesn't actually exist for her life. And her biggest worry is that this is all going to come out and her world is going to come crashing down. I think that this has a lot of parallels, honestly, with society now. I think everybody kind of goes on social media, they see one image, they see one way that people behave, but in reality, things often look very different than what is portrayed. And so this is kind of going right to the heart back in the 1950s when all of this kind of began, and showing that things are not always what they appear. I have been in a huge historical fiction mood lately. I don't know what it is. I don't actually usually read this much historical fiction, but I think Kristen Hanna has really just like lit something in me where this year, that is what I tend to be focused on. Up next is Main Characters by Hannah Orenstein, and this is releasing on May 13th. This has been duped the Parent Trap, but for adults. This book is following two half-sisters, and they know of each other, but they've never actually met. Each one of these sisters is sent for a month in the summer to go and spend time with their father. But a few years later, when they are adults, their father dies unexpectedly, and they both go back to this cabin and actually meet for the first time and get to know each other. and they have been raised very differently. It sounds like one was actually raised in Maine and the other one was raised in New York City, and they have very different outlooks on life, but the death of their father, I'm sure, is going to bring them together in some way. And all you had to tell me was it was Parent Trap vibes, and I was really in. Up next is The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig, and this is releasing on May 20th. And this book is following Sybil, and Sybil is a prophetess. So she is seeing visions in her dreams before they actually happen. And these dreams are not positive things. She's seeing really catastrophic things go on from the sounds of it. And she notices that other diviners, which are just people who have these magical abilities of some form, are going up missing. And in order to find them, she decides to enlist the help of a not so pleasant knight. And they work together to go and find where these diviners have gone off to and who is taking them. Last but not least is The Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Now, she writes historical fiction, so again, here's another historical fiction I'm looking forward to. And this one is following a professor, and she teaches physics and astronomy. And obviously she's dedicated her life to learning about space. And so she jumps on an opportunity to be one of the first women to go to space in the space program in the 1980s. And we're getting to know her and some of the other astronauts that are going to be going up. And if I had to guess, this probably has to do with like the Challenger situation. Taylor Jenkins Reid is really, really good at bringing life and bringing a lot of the emotions and liveliness to historical events. And that is another reason she's one of my favorite historical authors. And that is it. That is all the books that I am excited that are coming out this spring. Which books are you excited for? What am I missing? Are there any that have more cottagecore vibes? Because a lot of these do have much more summery type vibes to me, but I'm excited for them either way. They're going to be so good, and I am so excited for the weather to start getting warm and to be able to go back out. If you live in the Northeast, we have survived it. We have done it. And thank God we are now headed towards summer. You guys know spring is not my favorite time of the year, only because there's a lot of things that tend to go on in spring, but I can appreciate, and I do appreciate, the days are longer, the days are warmer, and everything just feels more cheery now that we've made it through the winter months. I hope all of you find something really great to read this spring and have a great rest of the day. Thanks for being here.